This is absolutely nauseating stuff. Joking about the mass slaughter of Palestinian babies on national television and then getting laughter and cheering from a studio audience. This is a sickness, an example of anti-Palestinian racism being mainstream, acceptable, and indeed respectable. Van Jones is a US political commentator and CNN host who is often described as a classic example of progressive except Palestine. He is vociferously pro-Israel and appeared on a show presented by Bill Maher, also vociferously pro-Israel. Just take a listen.
But isn't part of that because we had to fold everything into critical race theory, and somehow the Middle East became part of,
I see it differently. And I love this conversation because I think people, those of us who went to college, give a lot more credit to college courses for how the world works than I do. This is not about critical race theory on college campuses. This is about Iran. Iran and Qatar have come up with a disinformation campaign that they are running through TikTok and Instagram that is massive. If you are a young person, you open up your phone and all you see is dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby,
right.
Diddy, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby. Like, that's basically your whole feed. So that's not DEI. That is a geopolitical adversary that is deliberately trying to divide the West against itself.
What do you even say? What is going on in these people's heads? It is a fact that Palestinian babies have been massacred by the Israeli state in Gaza. According to the official death toll, approaching 1,000 Palestinian infants under 1 year old have been violently murdered, violently killed at the hands of the Israeli military. And all the evidence shows that these statistics are drastic underestimates. They have been blown apart by missiles, suffocated under rubble, burned alive in explosions, and yes, beheaded by Israeli weapons. Others have starved to death because of Israel's deliberate siege of Gaza. Not only spreading the warped conspiracy theory that this is disinformation, not only doing that, but mocking and laughing about dead Palestinian babies. Killed. These are killed babies. These are murdered babies. They've been violently killed. Doing that speaks to the level of dehumanization which has made Israel's genocide possible. If someone had said something like this about Israeli children, whether it be the one baby killed on the 7th of October, 8-month-old Mila Cohen, or the 35 other children killed that day, what do you think would happen? What do you think would happen exactly? The audience, first of all, would have been beyond shocked and repulsed, and that person would have been fired immediately from every job they had, essentially instantaneously. They would have become a social pariah, despised, unemployable. Indeed, so many people have actually suffered dire consequences, not for saying heinous things about babies, but for simply opposing Israel's genocide and treating Palestinians as human beings. They have been abused, they have been fired, they have been threatened, they've been beaten up by police officers, they've been arrested and indeed deported in what is the biggest assault on free speech in the Western world since the heyday of McCarthyism 7 decades ago. But what about Van Jones? No such consequences for him. Yes, there was a backlash online, but Van Jones wrote it all out with a completely pathetic pseudo-apology. Let me just read out what he said. He said, yeah, I messed up on this one. Sorry, I mean, if you're going to apologize, about the way you spoke, you joked about violently killed babies, do not start your apology with, yeah. Who are these people? He's an absolute scumbag. I'm sorry, this guy's a scumbag. He says, and I'm sorry. I was trying to raise awareness about foreign adversaries creating chaos online, which is undermining democracy everywhere. But what I said was easily misunderstood, and the way I said it was flat out insensitive. Babies are dying every day in Gaza. Nobody should dispute that fact or make light of it in any way. To the people living in fear and burying family members every day of all ages, I apologize. Now, as the Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen said in response to this, I'm glad Van Jones apologized for his sick joking about dead kids in Gaza, but the problem goes deeper. He spread Netanyahu propaganda that the mass killings of civilians in Gaza, including 20,000 plus kids, is Iranian fake news. It's not the students and young people who are fooled, it's Van Jones. This is a really crucial point. Mainstream media outlets have airbrushed the truth about Israel's genocide, whether that be broadcasters or newspapers. They failed to report multiple atrocities, failed to show the horrific consequences, repeatedly regurgitated Israeli lies about their war crimes, despite Israel's objective record of constant deceit. We could go on. But Palestinian journalists have suffered the biggest slaughter of journalists in human history by using social media to show the truth. New technology has enabled the world to see what mainstream media outlets refuse to show. As the Irish lawyer Bluna Ní Hali, who was on South Africa's legal team prosecuting Israel for genocide last year, put it, this genocide is the first in history where its victims are broadcasting their own destruction in real time in the desperate but so far vain hope that the world might do something. And here's what is even more perverse. There were actually lies about atrocities committed on the 7th of October, specifically lies about Israeli babies being beheaded, which never happened. Those lies were shared by President Joe Biden and mainstream media outlets. This was disinformation about the murder of babies, but not Palestinian babies. Now, there's been more outrage over those fictional dead babies than there has about the hundreds and hundreds of Palestinian babies who have actually really been murdered en masse. And here's another thing. Rather than the objective reality of Israel's genocide being invented by disinformation campaigns waged by foreign powers, the truth is that social media companies are censoring that reality. Human Rights Watch has covered how Meta has systematically censored Palestine content on Instagram and Facebook, while even the BBC covered how Palestinian news outlets were censored on Facebook too. Meanwhile, there has been huge amounts of evidence, research exposing censorship on TikTok, on X, and on YouTube. Indeed, TikTok's a really striking example. Pro-Israel cheerleaders are angry about TikTok because people have been able to see the truth there about what Israel is doing, from the atrocities committed by the Israeli state against Palestinians to IDF soldiers gleefully posting their own war crimes on the platform. Now, despite claims that the push to ban TikTok was all about national security because it was Chinese owned, last May, Republican Senator Mitt Romney said support for banning TikTok was down to the overwhelming volume of mentions of Palestinians on the platform. Safra Katz, a former Oracle CEO and a top executive leading the planned $14 billion takeover of TikTok's US operation, told the former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak in 2015 that they had to embed the love and respect for Israel in the American culture. Larry Ellison, Oracle's executive chairman, previously inquired now Secretary of State Marco Rubio's loyalty to Israel before he agreed to commit $3 million for his presidential campaign in 2015, and did so when he was reassured that Rubio will be a great friend to Israel. They will now have control of the TikTok algorithm. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, who is a wanted man with an arrest warrant issued against him by the International Criminal Court for war crimes and crimes against humanity, has openly boasted about how important the TikTok sale is for Israel. Just take a listen.
Weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well, okay? And you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are in social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is
followers.
TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important?
X.
X. That's very good. And, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now. We have to fight the fight, okay? To give direction to the Jewish people and give direction to our non-Jewish friends or those who could be our Jewish our friends.
This is so brazen. The leader of a state committing genocide and heinous war crimes boasting about how the TikTok sale will favour Israel, because what he's talking about is how then public opinion will be able to be manipulated in favour of Israel. This is a foreign power boasting about how he's going to be able to pull the wool over the eyes of the American people. Israel's cheerleaders are panicking because public opinion across the West, which Israel depends on, has shifted dramatically against the state. Half of Americans now believe Israel is committing genocide, compared to 35% who disagree. 60% disapprove of Israel's military action, 32% approve. Amongst Jewish Americans, 61% believe Israel has committed war crimes against Palestinians, and nearly 4 in 10 believe Israel has committed genocide. The reason for this isn't because of disinformation and misinformation, but because you cannot force people to love a state they know is committing every war crime and crime against humanity there is to commit. Van Jones is an utter disgrace, but he's just one manifestation of how Palestinians have been completely dehumanized during Israel's genocide. The real disinformation, the real lies, comes from Israel's cheerleaders, and more people see through all of that every single day. Please like and subscribe, leave your thoughts in your comments, help us take on the pro-genocide media. We are obviously up both against the mainstream media and against social media companies. That's what we're trying to push back on, and we do that with your support at patreon.com/OwenJones84. You make all of this possible. I will keep saying this. I'm finishing my book, The Fall of the West. But when I do that, there will be even more work, content to reach millions of people, which we reach every single month, millions of people across different platforms. That we will, up our game. But I hope you can appreciate what we're able to do with your support as things stand. But share the video, press like, subscribe, leave your comments. I'll speak to you in a bit.